So, first there was the Big Bang, and then there was the Sun, and then there was the Earth, and then within the Earth there were the Greeks, and the Greeks invented theatre. And then some British guy named William Shakespeare stole it and made it even better. A few years later in America, Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity, and Thomas Edison stole that and made it even better. Then in 1895, two French brothers combined theatre and electricity and invented movie projectors to premiere their groundbreaking, truly terrifying horror classic, which had audiences screaming and running for their lives. The arrival of a train. 10 years later, two men from Pittsburgh took this idea and opened the first cinema on June 19th, 1905. They named it the Nickelodeon, combining the admission fee with the Greek word for theatre. Cinema boomed throughout the early 1900s, with stars such as Florence Lawrence and Charlie Chaplin. But then people wanted to start viewing entertainment from home, so in 1926, Scottish inventor John Logie Baird hopped right to it. After having some great damp-proof socks to his name, as well as some unsuccessful Nike Airs, he then put his chronic bad health to one side and got to work on making the television. And you can make one too. All you need is these everyday household items. Some knitting needles, a bike light lens, a biscuit tin, and a hat box. Put these items together and now you can watch all your favourite shows, such as a wooden cross, a ventriloquist dummy, and the office boy from downstairs, all in crisp, high-definition quality. On August 26, 1936, the BBC transmitted the first ever live programme for the Radio Olympia. It was performed twice a day for 10 days with a total budget of £300 and featured lots of popular singers and artists of the time, including Helen McKay. Sure, they didn't realise that the other cameramen were visible in shot, but come on, okay, give them a break, alright? It was their first try. Cable television was then created in 1948 by John Wolson, with the intention to provide television signals to people whose reception was poor because of tall mountains and buildings blocking TV signals. Television was later given colour when Europe adopted the PAL system in 1967, and BBC Two broadcast from Wimbledon in colour, as overseen by David Attenborough. After BBC One, BBC Two and ITV were all regularly broadcasting in colour, the public realised that colour was a pretty cool thing, so a few more people bought a colour TV licence. In 1969, Jan Jacobson invented a camera that could support multi-image compositions and full-frame shots, so that Canadian filmmaker Donald Britton could use it to create a 17-minute short film, Tiger Child, which premiered on March 15, 1970 in Osaka, Japan, to become the first ever IMAX film. On November 2, 1982, Channel 4 began with the intention to provide an alternative to the existing channels. In order to appeal to minorities, it showed unique and controversial stranded programming, mostly comedy, reality, and game shows, such as Countdown. During the 1990s, broadband was replacing dial-up internet to allow for faster speeds, and not need to be switched on as it's always connected to the internet, whereas dial-up required a phone line to operate, and therefore phone calls couldn't be made using a landline while the internet was in use. While that was going on, Hollywood had figured out how to put films onto DVDs. The first film released was Twister in 1997, shortly followed by 14 other Warner and MGM films, including Blade Runner and Goodfellas. Netflix was then founded and launched a year later, becoming the world's first ever online DVD rental store, with 30 employees and 925 titles available, which was almost the entire catalogue of DVDs at the time. Netflix was now a huge rival to Blockbuster, and would be giving them trouble for the next 15 years. Following the collapse of ITV Digital, Crown Castle and the BBC took over the leftover multiplexes and launched Freeview on October 30th, 2002. This consisted of the 5 analog channels, as well as lots and lots of other new channels. Then in 2005, an employee of PayPal couldn't find videos of a nip slip and a tsunami online, so him and his friends made a little website called YouTube. This then exploded over the next decade, creating a whole new platform for creators to gain exposure, with some very successful people coming out of it. What with all this new, scary technology coming out, VHS realised that it was outdated and released A History of Violence on March 14, 2006 as the last official VHS, ending its 30-year lifespan. Also in 2006, Sky began broadcasting in high definition, shortly followed by Channel 4 a year later. ITV used high definition during the Football World Cup as a trial, but they didn't start regularly using it until 2010, as well as S4C and Channel 5. Most channels gradually followed and now pretty much everything is in HD. 2007 then saw the beginning of the digital switchover, which was when analog terrestrial television in the UK was replaced with digital. This was completed in 2012, and now everything in the UK was much faster and high-tech. While that was going on, Netflix realised how popular YouTube was getting and decided to introduce streaming media for films and TV shows, which was the beginning of the end for Blockbuster. On January 31st, 2010, Sky broadcasted the world's first ever 3D football match to 9 pubs around England before launching their dedicated 3D channel in April. Throughout 2011 and 2012, several companies jumped on this brand new, magical, amazing, incredible technology that was the third dimension, but slowly began to realise that people didn't really like wearing the silly glasses in their own homes, so they just kind of stopped making them. In 2011, Netflix began acquiring original content for its library, and on February 1st, 2013, the first 13-episode season of House of Cards was released, produced by David Fincher and starring Kevin Spacey, who played the lead role for 5 seasons. But he wasn't in the 6th season for some reason, I don't really know why. After a 5-year-long battle with Netflix, Blockbuster went into administration on January 16th, 2013, putting 4,000 jobs at risk. But they made it through and were saved by Gordon Brothers Europe for a few months before they went into administration again and completely went under before the end of the year. And that was the end of Blockbuster. And now in 2018, Netflix reigns supreme in the technology world, worth $20 billion with 137 million subscribers worldwide and hundreds of original series and films. It's managed to completely crumble several other film and television mediums, and is now expanding even further in its quest to take over the world via interactive episodes, starting with Minecraft Story Mode. They partnered with Telltale Games in order to port their products into a streaming video format, and just recently they teamed up with Charlie Brooker once more to create an interactive Black Mirror episode. Thank you for watching.